Today's topic, cheap, high-performance BMWs. Hey everybody, Nathan Brown here with FCP Euro, and today we're here to talk about relatively inexpensive, relatively high-performance BMWs. Now, if you're anything like me, when you think performance BMW, you probably think M cars. But there's a lot more out there when it comes to BMW and performance cars, and there's a lot of great buys out there that aren't necessarily going to have the M badge and the associated price to go along with it. So with that, let's take a look at some cheap, high-performance BMWs. We have everybody's favorite, the 335i. Now I know what you're thinking. E90 series, 335i, reliable, are you nuts? And hear me out. Yeah, it has problems with fuel injectors and fuel pumps and other stuff like that. At the end of the day, it has some of the biggest power potential out of any modern BMW engine. Throw intake, exhaust, intercooler, do a corresponding tune and go full bolt on, as they say, and you've got 400 wheel horsepower all day long. Let's say you want a 335i, but you don't necessarily want to deal with all the headaches of the N54. You just have to buy a slightly newer one. In 2009, they came out with the N55, and although the ultimate power potential is not quite the same, you can still do plenty of upgrades and get plenty of power with an engine that's known to be generally more reliable. You're gonna pay a little bit more money for an N55 car, but at the end of the day, it's a fantastic drive. The chassis itself, the E90, whether it's in a coupe or a sedan, is an awesome car. It's got tons of potential, virtually unlimited upgrades. It could be anything from a turnpike cruiser to a race car, drift car, or a daily driver. You know as well as I do that if you are on the highway and a modified 335i pulls up next to you, there is no way you're gonna run that car.
Dude, I almost had you.
No matter what it does, because chances are it's got way more power than you do. So while it's not quite as tuner friendly, the N55 is known for generally being more reliable. And yeah, it's a single turbo versus a twin turbo, but let's face it, if you're going big power on an N54, you're probably going single turbo anyway. The biggest difference is in injectors. It uses a standard solenoid injector versus a piezo injector, which obviously doesn't flow quite as much, which is why there's not as much power potential, but it's still a fantastic engine. They're both in a great chassis. So at the end of the day, depending on the engine, the year, the miles, you're probably gonna spend anywhere from 6 or 8, maybe 12, 15 grand on a 335i. And while, yeah, these are probably the same BMWs that you see with a crackle tune going in and out of the local car meets, it's still a fantastic performance buy. Generally speaking, you can get an early 335 for well under $10,000. If you want something lower mileage or one of the N55s, you might pay a little bit more. So if you're looking for an N55 over the N54, you're gonna wanna look at 2011 and later E90 chassis 335i's. I really wanted to talk about E46 M3s, but no M cars, but hear me out. So the E46 M3 to me is the ultimate expression of what an M3 is that was available in the United States, but they're really expensive. It's kind of insane how prices have gone over the last, honestly, just the last couple of months. So as much as I want to include the E46 M3, it's not cheap anymore. It's reliable, yeah, it's performance, yeah, but it's not cheap. They're outrageously expensive. The E46 is still a great chassis, and there's still some awesome options out there if you want the E46, you want that body style, but you don't necessarily want to pay, or you can't afford to pay, M3 prices. It's 3 little letters, ZHP. So the ZHP is the only car we're talking about that's not its own individual model. The ZHP was actually just an option package that you could get on the E46 330. So that was available in coupe, convertible, or sedan. And you had lowered suspension, you had Style 135 wheels, you had an M-Technic 2 body kit, you had different camshafts, and you had a corresponding ECU tune. With the cams and ECU, you got a 10 horsepower bump, another 300 RPMs out of the engine. While that may not sound like a lot, all of those things combined really dial the ZHP up a little bit in terms of the looks, just being a little bit special, being a unique package car over any other 330i. It could be said that the cult of ZHP is pretty strong. Believe me, if somebody owns an E46 and has the ZHP package, they're gonna tell you at least 1, 2, or 3 times that it's a ZHP. Oh, it's a nice 330i. It's a ZHP. Like, okay, fine, I get it. It's special. Anyway, if you are looking for a ZHP, and honestly, I think that you probably should look into it. The ZHP Mafia is probably going to be your best website to go research. They have a lot of great information in terms of production numbers, how many were made. There's a really great community around the ZHP. So there's a special model that you're going to find that is unique and interesting in the world of modern BMWs. With that, you're going to get a pretty wide range of prices, and that's because some people know what they have and some people don't. So if you get somebody who doesn't know they have a ZHP, they just think they have a 330i, you might be able to get the car for 6, 7, or 8 grand. If, however, it's a rare color combination and they know they have a ZHP, you're probably going to expect to pay as much as double that depending on the specifics of that car. Whether or not it's worth it, it's hard to say. I mean, I personally think that it is. You get a great chassis. The E46 handles great. It's a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer, a little bit more modern than an E36 would be. And while it may not rev to 7,900 RPMs and have the S54 that the M3 has, it's still a great little cool performance BMW. Okay, up next, something I'm legitimately excited about. It is the E36 M3. And I know I said earlier that M models weren't necessarily what we were talking about.
Shame on you.
But hear me out. The E36 M3 is a car you can still get for a fairly reasonable price, and in my opinion, I think it's worth it. The E36 design, the chassis, the look of it is just pure BMW for me, and there's something about that badge on the back of that car that is just special. Likewise, when you're driving it, it's lightweight, it's small, it's compact, it's everything that I think an M3 really should be. Now, in the US, of course, we only got the S50 and S52 engines, which are sort of warmed over 3 Series engines. They don't make crazy power. They don't rev really high like the European versions do, but it's 240 horsepower and a chassis that weighs under 3,000 pounds, and it can still be a lot of fun. But we're talking about performance. Performance can be more than just straight line speed. It's handling, it's everything that goes along with it. And the E36 is one of the greatest race cars that we've ever had. When I was younger, I was a huge Porsche fan. I still am. The 993s, the air-cooled RSRs were kind of long in the tooth, and when the PTG E36s came out, they walked all over them every single race. And it really, honestly, it made me angry at the time, but it was just hard to argue with how good those cars were, and they're still that great. So the thing with the E36 M3 is there's a huge range of pricing, and while some of them are gonna be really expensive, it's probably gonna be some of the more rare or desirable colors. Those are gonna be things like Techno Violet, Dakar Yellow, Estoril Blue, or maybe the Boston Green. But if it's a less desirable or perhaps just more common color like the black or the silver, sometimes even white, they're gonna be fairly affordable. You can still get a decent-ish E36 M3 for under $10,000 if you're lucky. Now, most of the good ones are gonna probably be 12, 15, or 18, but that's still honestly not that much money for a car that is a future classic, and it's kind of almost a current classic at this point. These cars are old, and they are going to suffer from old car problems. The glove box is going to be broken, the door panels are going to fall off, the subframe might need to be reinforced. If you give it the love, it's going to reward you. So a lot of these cars you're going to find, especially on the lower end of the price range, are probably going to be pretty high mileage, and that's okay. 200,000 miles on one of these early straight 6 BMW engines is not really that big of a deal, and if it's been well cared for, it's still going to be strong, still going to make power, and it's still going to be a ton of fun to drive. Hear me out. What is a performance BMW? Well, it could be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And our next choice is the E83 X3 3.0. So I know what you're thinking. When you think performance, you don't think X3, and it's not the first thing I think of. Hell, it's probably not the 5th thing that I think of. But from 2007 to 2010, the E83 X3 came with the N52B30 engine. So the N52 is basically the spiritual successor, the modern continuation of the classic naturally aspirated BMW straight 6. Whether it's in a 330, a 128, or an X3, it's an awesome option. It's reliable, makes decent power, makes all the right noises, and when paired with the manual transmission in the X3, it is a good time. Not everybody can just get away with a sedan or a coupe or a convertible. You know, you have kids, you got stuff. Maybe you like to go do things on the weekends. You have antiquing, I have no idea. But you might need to put stuff in this car, and maybe you only have room or budget for one car. And just because that's the case doesn't mean there's not a good, cheap, reliable performance BMW for you. And this X3 might just scratch that itch. Now, as with anything where a manual transmission was an option, but not all that common, the manuals are gonna set you back more money. I think it's worth looking for, and depending upon the mileage, the condition, or just where you are in the marketplace, you're probably gonna pay around $8,000 to $15,000 for one of these X3s. It may seem like a lot of money for what it is, but with that particular N52 engine, it's gonna run forever, and it's gonna be a great car to have. While there's no denying that the on-road handling of the X3 is not necessarily gonna compete with a sports coupe or a sedan, it's still gonna be far more fun, and it's far less plain vanilla than a lot of other SUV offerings that you're gonna find for the price. So what happens when we take that lovely N52 engine and drop it into something that is not a small SUV? For that, we get our next pick, which is the E82 128i. The E82 128i is kind of its spiritual successor to that E36 M3 that I was talking about earlier. And if you like the idea of an E36 M3, but want something that was made within the last decade or so, this is going to be the car for you. The 128 is actually a favorite of ours here at FCP Euro. One of our catalog associates, Andrew Johnson, has one. It's modified for the track. He runs it all the time, and he even won an autocross championship in this car, so it has a lot of potential. When it was new, the 128i was really overshadowed by its bigger brothers, and that's the 135i and the supercar killer 1M. But it's really kind of the gem of the lineup because it's so simple, so basic, modestly powerful at 230 horsepower. But when it's paired with the 6-speed transmission and the coupe body style, it's a ton of fun to drive, and it is a true driver's car. And for me, it benefits from computer-aided design, modern technology of manufacturing, but it's not weighed down with all of the extra bells and whistles and things that you're gonna get on almost any modern new BMW. Being that it was a base model at the time, there are some downsides. A vast majority that you're gonna find are gonna be convertible, automatic, or more than likely both. So you are gonna need to look to find a manual that is in the coupe body style. Once you do find your manual coupe, price-wise, you're gonna probably pay somewhere around $8,000 to $12,000, maybe $15,000, and a lot of that's gonna come down to mileage and condition. However, just like a lot of the other naturally aspirated BMW straight-six engines, if it's been well maintained, you've got plenty of years of life left in it and many hundreds of thousands of miles. So there you have it, our top picks for 5 cheap, reliable performance BMWs. And honestly, it took us a little while to come up with this list. There was a lot of heated debate, a lot of discussion here behind the scenes as to which ones we should or shouldn't include. So let us know, did we get it right? Throw it in the comments below. You got a buddy who has a ZHP who won't shut up about it, show him the video, he's gonna be stoked. Please hit the like button and subscribe. And with that, we'll see you on the next one.